Hello, my beautiful healing journey friends. Um, I am actually coming to you today from Arizona, um, which is crazy because it's the first time I've traveled since being ill, and oh gosh, it's surreal and wonderful. I'm finally healthy enough to travel, um, and you will be too. If you if you go on this emotional healing journey, um, and healing from the inside out, healing the bioenergetics of your body, um, you will too. I mean, maybe you already are, but I was in a place that there's no way I could have traveled. It would have just destroyed me. Um, I would have been suffering for many weeks after and during just the plane ride. And, admittedly, the plane ride was tough. There's so many EMFs. It's so stressful on the body to do any kind of travel, but especially air travel. Um, but what I really want to talk about today is, Arizona with its, dry heat and oh my gosh, it's the kind of warmth that I have been craving for years. I'm cold all the time. I don't know if this is true for you. But part of my chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue has been just being cold all the time. The bone cold that I talk about. And so being in a place that's between 90 and 97 and dry and just this like baking heat is just like heaven to me. And it's not too hot because there's this breeze and it's just incredible. It's this incredible, beautiful place. And these red, these rocks and this, it's just so deeply root chakra. It's got these gorgeous mountains. It's just rock and sand, dirt, small trees, but just not much foliage. Here, I'll show you a little what I'm looking at. It's so beautiful. Hopefully I was able to get that for you. But these beautiful mountains and what I thought might happen, I think is actually happening. So I know that I still have some root chakra wounds. I've worked on them a lot and healed a lot, but I still have some, and I knew that I did. Um, what's happening is I'm being triggered. Uh, I had this really interesting Chinese treatment that it works all on the spine and the tailbone and the legs and the feet and the hips and well, not really the hips, but it's a very root chakra healing, and then also some cranial sacral at the end, which was amazing. um, and I wish I could do that all the time. I wish I could do it to myself. But oh, big bird just flew over me. How these things manifest for me usually is I do something happens, there's some experience in my life, and then afterward I feel okay. I'm gonna take these off. I feel okay, and then I start feeling a little down, little um just sort of my energy, my happiness, all just it sort of slowly in the following hour, 2 hours, or sometimes it can have continue for days, just kind of get worse and worse. And what I mean by worse and worse again is it varies, but it's either mood that just keeps declining, getting sadder, or sadness for me is often, I don't know if this is true for you, but maybe because I'm an Aries, but it's often colored with some anger. And it's got some irritation in there. And so I just get irritated easily. And, somebody suggests something or tries to help me, and then I have all the reasons why that won't work. That won't help. No, I can't do that. No, no. In the moment, I think I'm being completely logical. But in retrospect, I had this treatment just a couple of hours ago, and I've just been noticing. So now I'm reflecting, and that's only because I've been through this process enough times, I've been triggered enough times, and been very vigilant enough times that I can catch it earlier. Most of them, in the past, I could be spiraling for weeks, and I land somewhere in this very dark place, and I don't know what the hell just happened. I'm just like, how did I get here? I was feeling so good. What happened? Well, what happened is I was triggered, and I didn't realize what was happening, and I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know what to do. And so now I'm really getting practiced, but still have a long way to go, a lot of work to do. I'm really trying to practice, catching that. So what really led me to realize this is I started having really not pleasant thoughts about myself. And I do this thing where when I'm triggered, I start looking around me at all the other people, and everybody else has a better life than me. They have a better body. They have more confidence. That's usually what it is. People are just so confident, and they're so healthy. And you can tell that they don't have a particularly healthy lifestyle. Why aren't they sick? Why am I sick? When I do everything I possibly can to be healthy. I eat just the most absolute cleanest diet imaginable. I drink tons of water, and it's the right water, it's good water, and I go to bed at the right time. I get up, I have a nice routine, I take care of myself in the day. So why am I sick? Those are the kinds of thoughts that happen when I'm in a triggered state. Now that's the state that I used to live in. That is part of the personality that made me sick. And it's because it's a wounded state. It's coming from wounds. Old wounds that this is how the adult, these are the adult versions of the child conclusions that I came to being manifested. And when I was a child, I made the conclusion that whatever I did was wrong, and what everybody else did was better. And so I just need to do the best I can. I have to be the nicest, be the sweetest, be the quietest, be the smartest, be the, which is most pleasing person that I can possibly be. Nothing but sweet and kind, and I always wanted smart in there. And unfortunately, they've manifested in this way, and it's completely my responsibility, but it's not my fault, and it's not your fault either. If you have tendencies like this or any other kind of tendency that came from a childhood wound, it's not your fault. It just happened unconsciously, and we're not taught how to be conscious of these things. So what I started to notice is that I was having all these self-loathing thoughts, and it doesn't make any sense because I have been gaining more and more confidence through this healing journey, this emotional healing journey. I have more confidence than I've ever had in my entire life, bar none, not even close. Because I lived most of my life with zero. thinking so little of myself. And it's sad. And that poor wounded inner child, my God, I'm so sorry to her for treating her like that. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was happening. I was just living life the best I could, and that's what we all do. But I realized, wait, this isn't me. This isn't my true self. This is the old persona that I used to live in. What's happening? What is happening? And so I just, I sat there, sitting in this beautiful environment, and I've had a couple hours of just time by myself, and it's allowed this to unfold so nicely because I realized that it was happening, which is a huge step. And if you get triggered and your health starts to decline and you catch it, oh my God, I'm so impressed. It's taken me 10 months to learn how to do this. It's so difficult because being in a triggered state doesn't feel like, it's not obviously a triggered state. It's like, it feels like you, because that's how you've lived your life for so many years, decades. Because our entire persona, when we have a lot of really core childhood wounds, it becomes they sort of take over the personality. I don't know if this is, I don't know. Is this true for you? That I suppressed my personality to such an extreme extent, I feel like. I don't know how common it is, to be honest with you. But I wonder how common it is for people with adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue. Because to get that amount of fatigue, there has to be such a massive emotional weight on you. I know that that's true. I know that for a fact. There are other things that cause it, but my running theory is that so often it's a humongous emotional load that you have been carrying for years, and it's not working anymore for you. Well, on back to the root chakra trigger issue. The first step is to realize you've been triggered, just like I've just done. The next step is to figure out how to take an action to stop the decline. And really, I mean, seeing that it's happening helps to stop it. But you need an action to actually heal it. And that takes a little bit of, contemplating, because you really want to identify as close as you can. And you don't have to identify exactly what it is and where exactly the wound came from right now. That's a process. It can take so long to figure out all the layers because these wounds run deep. And when you have these deep early life wounds, it's not just the wounds from the early life, it's all the wounds that came from living believing those things. So believing that you are not lovable, or that love cannot be trusted. Those things as you go through life create more damage to your spirit to your bioenergetic field. And so it's a process to figure out where these things originally came from and heal the origin. So maybe right now you just want to heal the emotions that are coming up right now. Well, my experience is that process on its own is pretty difficult because if you have chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue that is rooted in emotional wounds, bioenergetic wounds, the illness manifested because now the wounds are becoming physical symptoms. And so what happens for me is when I'm emotionally triggered by something, my physical symptoms get worse, and I find that confusing. I don't know about you. Is that confusing to you? And what does that even happen to you? I guess is the question. First, does that happen to you? And then second, is that confusing to you? Because that's always been confusing to me. My guess is yes. Because I don't hear out there very often. Pretty much no. I'm doing this channel because I know that this is true for me and others out there. And this information just isn't available. It is in bits and pieces. And what I'm trying to do is take all the pieces that I've learned and share them with you so that you could do this better than me. I shouldn't say better, but easier and faster and less pain and struggle. Because if you know how to do the process and you know the pitfalls, you know what the hardest parts are, it makes it a lot easier. And you can be it's a lot easier to be kinder on yourself. And we all need that. I swear, we all need that. More kindness to ourselves. Especially people who have some self-loathing. And so what was coming up for me when I was triggered was self-loathing. And so if I can just identify that, then I can figure out some process based on what I've learned. Sitting on the ground, on rocks, little pebbles, and it's hurting me. But figure out a process to heal that even just a little bit. Because sort of every time, I feel like every time I get triggered and I don't catch it and do something that heals it, it feels like it makes the illness a little bit worse, a little bit more embedded, a little more ingrained. And so my thought is, my logic, my thinking is, okay, so every time I stop it and I heal it, even if it's just a little bit, that means I've healed. I'm moving my illness in the other direction, and that is absolutely been what has been shown to me, is what happens. You're reversing the pattern, you're reversing the process of this illness, and you're repatterning the way you respond to these kinds of emotions. And that's what the key is. That's the key. Gosh, it's really hurting my butt. Sorry. So what worked for me one time was self-loathing really well. I was having really, really intense self-loathing thoughts, and it was manifesting as these just absolutely unbearable feelings, urges, incredible urges to eat something, anything, everything. And Oh my gosh. And of course, if you don't, I chose in that moment, probably first time ever, to not give in to that and to not eat. Well, what happens, because that has been, I had an eating disorder for a long time because of this. Because if it temporarily would fill the hole and it would stop the feelings of self-loathing, uh, it would soothe them, even if it was just temporary. And so I gave into it every time. And even after the worst of my eating disorder, all these years later, I've healed it a lot, but I still give in to eating something comforting. And for a while, it was nuts, and my diet has become more and more restricted, and so it's gotten to the point that I pretty much don't have anything anymore. There's basically no comforting food that I can eat without having a giant repercussion. And so I was in this position a couple of weeks ago. It was like, oh my gosh, I just felt desperate. I had to find something. I was searching. But this is the beauty of doing this process again and again. Because then eventually, one of these times, you're going to see what's happening. And this time I did. I see, wait a second. What's happening right now? What is this? What am I feeling? Meanwhile, it's like panic, panic, panic. Get me out, get me out, get me out, get out, get out. We need food, 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 food. You must get food. But I'm trying to pull myself back into this conscious state of, okay, well, but what is it really? What is it really? And I realized it was self-loathing, deep, intense self-loathing. And I thought, I felt so panicky, so desperate, because if you don't give in to the thing, if you have any kind of addiction, if you've ever struggled with an addiction, if you don't give in to that addiction, if you've tried to not do it one time, then you know that if you don't give in to it, whatever feeling is coming up is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, because it's the only way that you've learned to cope your entire life. So you take that away, and it's like, now what am I supposed to do? I can't cope, and it feels like I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't cope, I can't feel this, I can't feel this. These are the thoughts. This is what happens to me, and it's like this cyclical, panicky. I keep saying panicky, but it does. It feels life-threatening. But I really pulled myself into this conscious. I was having this tug of war in my mind. I realized I don't know what to do right now, but I've just don't meditate. I don't know what else to do. I'm just like, thank God my son was so sweet and he let me meditate. He's 5 years old, and every once in a while he's finally old enough that if I need to, he'll let me go and do something, which is so wonderful because I needed that. Oh, I needed it so bad. So I went and I meditated. And what came up for me, so I through all the things that I've learned, one technique is to try to imagine, so what does this emotion look like in your head? If you had to make an image of it and it's in your body, what does it look like? And for me, self-loathing was this dark gray, fuzzy, but not fuzzy in like a cuddly way, fuzzy like dark energy way. This ball, this sphere of fuzzy dark energy, and the fuzziness was like moving, almost like it vibrating, like it had this dark energy vibrating with this dark energy. That's what came up for me, and that is where my self-loathing felt like it was. And it was in my head. It was like in the center of my head. And so what I decided to do, another technique I've learned, for something else, I decided to put these two techniques together. And so I brought in this healing, imagined this healing light coming in through the top of my head. And I don't remember what color. Oh, I think it was pink. I think that day it just felt like this pink. Oh, pink and gold. It was pink and gold, but like a shimmery pink and a shimmery gold. And gold's always shimmery, I guess. But they just had this bright energy, and I pulled that in through my head, and I just swirled it. I just pictured it swirling around and around and around and around and around this dark, evil, I'm gonna call it evil ball and sphere in my head. And I don't know how long I did that. 20 minutes? And I noticed that as I was swirling it, I imagined that the pink, it was developing this like pink and gold outside shell, and the dark part was getting smaller, and the pink and the gold were sort of taking over like little, centimeter by centimeter, millimeter by millimeter. And by the end, there was like a quarter or a third of it was pink and gold, maybe a third, and the rest was still dark. But when I got up from that meditation, I mean, you can't expect to heal something in one meditation, one healing session, no. But I couldn't believe when I got up, I felt amazing. I felt euphoric. I was like, holy Toledo, like that was amazing. And I was so proud of myself for doing it, because it's like, because I had never done anything like that before. I had never stopped that self-loathing in a way that actually heals, as opposed to a way that harms me even more, but in a different way. And so that's one technique that I learned really works. I did it another time, and I worked on it some more. And I also did another time that there was like a green. I was having a lot of abdominal pain in my sacral chakra, and that time I went and meditated, and it was like a green ball, and it was smooth. And I brought in some colored light. I don't remember. I think it was white. I think that one was white and gold or something. I guess gold is just very healing to me. White and gold. White, gold, pink, yellow. Those are the most healing colors to me. But it can be anything. It can be blue, green, any color, and it can change. You can pick any color you want for any given moment. Whatever feels healing to you right then. And then if you so choose, you can swirl it around that spot, and then take sort of the garbage out and push it out through your feet. Imagine it going out of you, through into the ground, just dissipating into the ground. And so there have been several times that is just, particularly this self-loathing thing. And my question is to you, do you ever get triggered in a way that brings up thoughts of self-loathing? And even just identifying that, it's not that easy to do, because you're just used to the way you experience it. It's just a feeling that you know so well. But to put a name on it, identify really that that's what it is a huge step. And then you can try the meditation that I just said. I'm going to go do it right now. I mean, to be honest with you, talking to you guys and sharing this with you, I'm already feeling so much better. And I've noticed this in some other videos that I've made. I don't know if you guys can notice this too, but I often start off a video like a recording like I'm talking slow, I have very serious expression, I'm thinking slowly. I was just like reliving that, so I put in all these pauses. It feels like I'm thinking really slowly, and then as I go on and I start sharing and talking about this stuff, I get more animated, I think faster, I'm like, I'm more passionate, I'm more excited, and I can see the beauty in this process even more. And I heard this thing one time, this might be what it is, that we have to do so much healing on our own. When we're really ill, there needs to be a lot of healing on your own. But when you go from me to we, that's that's when the healing really takes off. When you can use what you've learned to help other people in some way, and that's what I think is happening here. So I'm grateful to you guys that I can share with you. It's helping me heal, but honestly, more important, I want to help you heal. I can't promise anything, but I can give you everything that I've learned and hope that helps you heal. Because God, I just can't even stress it enough how much I've healed just from doing emotional healing. Nothing else. Because the thing is, once you start doing the emotional healing and you start getting better, then you can do more things like exercise. I started exercising, so I started doing emotional healing. I started doing emotional healing in July of 2020. I started exercising. I started playing pickleball. It was so fun. In August. So literally, and I couldn't exercise. I could not exercise before that. It was literally 2 months. 2 months that I could start exercising. And then exercise helps heal you more. And so what I'm trying to say is, once you start making progress on this emotional healing journey, then you can add in other things. Because God, I don't know if this is true for you, but how many things do you say I can't do? I can't do that. I can't do that. Because your body has shown you that it can't. Oh, I'm going off on another tangent. I'm going to have to save that for another day. But this work, you can bring so much healing and rapid healing. That's my wish for you. I know I probably say it in every video, but it's just so true, and I feel it so strongly. I feel it so strongly every time I talk to you, and I just want to say it over and over again. So, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.